Before we start this episode, I just wanted to ask you a question.
What?
You stinky?
Whoa.
You stinky boy?
Hopefully not.
Well,
Yeah, hopefully.
sometimes though, we get a little stinky. And sometimes we get out of the shower and we know that we're good now, but then later on we might be stinky.
It's later stinky.
What if we could prevent later stinky? Right?
Ah.
You know?
Yes.
And this is where you need Mando. Whole body deodorant, helping men conquer their odor in a new way. Formulated with mandelic acid, Mando has long-lasting 72-hour odor protection and control that actually stops odor before it starts. So the best part is you can put Mando everywhere. Pits, packages, skin, feet, folds, backs of knees, whatever.
I want to hear more about this Nelson Mandela acid.
It's Mando. Top it off. Not even
Marlon
Mandalorian.
Brando.
Nelson Mandela acid?
To top it off, Mando's cologne quality scents were created with men in mind. Pro tip, try their best-selling bourbon leather. It smells good. It smells like
it smells like bourbon and leather.
Yeah, it smells
I thought
dignified.
they had a variety of products, including bourbon and leather.
Well, no, they have a variety of products, but one of them smells like
I
that.
understand.
Once you experience fresher underarms, a fresher package, and fresher feet, you'll never go back. Special offer, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with the exclusive code. And the code is this, SDPN. Not hard to remember. Go to shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Use the promo code SDPN. Smell better. Let's start the show.
SDP, the Steve Dangle Podcast, with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
All right, so we just saw the press conference from Rogers and the NHL announcing their new $11 billion Canadian deal. And by the way, it's 7.7 USD as of today. But with new tariffs announced, who knows what that number will be. And, you know, it's interesting because under the new agreement, they're claiming a few things, and I want to jump right into it. National rights across all platforms, which is pretty much the same TV, digital streaming, all national regular season games in all languages, meaning that Rogers owns both French and English, and Punjabi, and any other language they decide to go into. National rights to all playoff games, the Stanley Cup Final and all special events, and tentpole events in all languages. Out-of-market rights for all regional games, exclusive category sponsors for the NHL and NHL tentpole events held in Canada, meaning if there's an all-star game or something like that. Tentpole. That's what, it's like, a tentpole is a playoffs are a tentpole, all-star games a tentpole, Four Nations was a tentpole. It's a sales term.
It holds up the rest of the tent.
100%.
Yeah, no Canadians got a tent pole in their pants for this deal.
That is 100% true. So this agreement is expected to, first off, it has not yet been totally voted on, I believe, by Rogers shareholders. So if you own Rogers share, you don't get a vote in this. If you own A-class shares, you do. B-class shares are what are publicly available. And guess who owns most of the A-class shares? That's right, the Rogers Trust, and I think they'll be fine. The financial terms are comprised of escalating payments that will total $11 billion over the 12-year term. Now, the way the last deal worked was it started off, and I'm just going to throw a number out there that was reported. The first year, and this is when the dollars were on par, Rogers paid somewhere in the neighborhood of $250 million US for, and this is 2013-14, I believe, when the deal started.
14-15.
So then the payments go up each year. And what we saw in that first year was a lot of innovation. We saw cable cameras. We saw this and this and this. But as those payments came up, down went the amount of front-facing staff, production, even cameras at games were cut back.
Everybody.
And so what's interesting about this too, and this is, I'm just getting to the overview of this and then we can discuss. It's likely that, and they said it in the press conference, Tony Staffieri, who is the CEO of Rogers, mentioned this. It's likely that one night a week at least are licensed out to somebody else, probably Amazon. The word is Amazon might want to move on from Monday nights. Might be a Wednesday night thing. Not sure. We don't know.
Wednesday was a national night for Rogers.
Well, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays are national nights. So that's why. So Amazon may want to move off.
Big deal of it.
Yeah, Monday, I think they may want to move off of Mondays. I think there's the NFL element playing off there. And Monday will still remain a national night. It just might be Rogers night.
They're going to have to get Forsland to redo all those promos.
Yeah.
It's Amazon and it's on Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's also on Wednesday.
But he doesn't have to worry about that until 26, 27, because that's when this deal kicks in. Remember, this deal doesn't start until 26, 27, which is September of that year or October of that year. So we're talking 18 months from now. Now, I said likely that a night gets licensed out. Tony Staffieri was asked directly about Amazon. He said, we're open to it. We'd like to see that happen. They like their partnership with Amazon. And Amazon has said repeatedly from their side that they're in Canada in hockey to stay. So I think it's likely that happens. It's just a matter of how much that costs. And does Amazon really care what things cost? They have a lot of money. The other thing is French language broadcast rights now belong to Rogers, and they will sub-license those out to either RDS or TVA or both. TVA. I call it TVA because I'm English.
Because you're terrible.
Rogers does very little business in Quebec traditionally, specifically from a broadcasting perspective. I don't even think they own much in terms of cable and streaming, internet, any of that in Quebec. So I think that will very, very quickly get sub-licensed out depending upon who wants to agree to that. But it's interesting. I was talking to somebody who was very intimately involved in the Quebec media scene the other day, and they said that it's been cut back significantly. Quebec has been its own ecosystem, has its own star system, has been very profitable for many, many years, and even they are feeling the hit of softer ad markets and just less discretionary spending. Also, you take sports rights, and the reality is, and Jesse, we saw this when we went to the Ivy Business School. Phil King, who was the former head of TSN, now with MLSE, said, you don't expect sports rights, specifically hockey in Canada, to be profitable, right?
Yeah.
He said...
Go ahead.
No, you tell him.
No, he said the idea of having sports, having hockey in particular, is so that you can sell everything else. You don't expect the hockey rights you own to be the profit driver. You have the hockey so that you get the advertisers in the door so you can sell other things.
That's right. And you look at like the way a grocery store runs their business, right? Eggs and dairy are what they call loss leaders. They might lose a little bit of margin on that, but getting people in the store requires milk and eggs traditionally, and bread. So hockey has become sort of that version. It's the thing that gets you in the store. And then everything else, it's like, well, these Oreos, sure, there's good margin on these Oreos, right? Now, there are some questions, guys. And I'm going to start with the high-level business stuff, and then we're going to go to the fan stuff, okay? So the high-level business stuff is there have been rumors for years the NHL has not been thrilled with the quality or the coverage. But Gary's in his last days, and this is a great send-off for Gary, right? It's not like he has to make the Hall of Fame. He's already made it. But this is a great way.
God.
It's a great way for him to do a send-off.
Oh, that was like a shiv between my ribs.
But it's true.
God, that's so dark.
From what we have heard, Rogers has already struggled to fulfill the current deal. And with the Canadian dollar sinking and, like I said, the potential tariff war for at least the next 4 years, it's going to be an interesting sell to shareholders.
If I never hear the word tariff ever again...
I know, but we got to mention it here.
That'll be every birthday for the rest of my life.
The ad market right now is soft. Part of it is because of the economy. Part of it is because ad money has gone to places like Meta and Google over traditional outlets. And I can tell you that the agencies are certainly not about to pay double for this. So it's going to be interesting how they build that in, which brings it to your cell phone, your internet, and your subscription to Sportsnet. Because currently, right now, Sportsnet standard is $24.99 a month or $199 a year. That gives you 350 NHL games, Hockey Night in Canada, Wednesday Night Hockey, all outdoor games, Four Nations, your draft, and your Stanley Cup. Sportsnet Premium. You get everything that I just mentioned in standard, plus access to over 1,000 out-of-market NHL games. So basically every in-market regional game, plus national games, and then Sportsnet World events like the FA Cup, rugby, etc. So, and whatever else they might buy. So all that is to say that you should expect, and they talked about providing value in the press conference. If you're paying $25 or $35 a month for Sportsnet now, which Sportsnet right now, it used to be called Sportsnet now, it's now called Sportsnet Plus.
It's not confusing.
I would prepare for a world where you're paying in half a decade, $75 to $100 a month to stream hockey. And that's just with this channel. Obviously, if you got Prime, then you're paying, $100 a year for Prime, like whatever your Amazon subscription costs. So yeah, it's currently $250 a year for everything. I would expect that probably doubles at least in the next half decade, maybe triples by the end of this. And, while Rogers can make some money back on the sub licenses, the reality of regional programming is that, as we've seen with Bally Sports in the States, it's not as profitable as it used to be. And the question becomes, we know TSN's going to have Habs, we know they're going to have Ottawa, we know they're going to have Winnipeg, and we know they're going to have Toronto, half of the Toronto games. That's agreed to for the next 20 years. Half of the regional games.
Oh.
Yeah.
Half regional.
Regional. So regional is like half of the games. So they get half of half.
So they get a quarter.
Yeah.
Exactly what it is right now.
Yeah. And so, we asked, or somebody asked in the press conference, how what are you planning to change or to add? And it seems like not very much. It seems like things are just going to stay the way that they are. They just got more expensive. So what that brings fans, I believe, from the reactions on Twitter at least, and that's just one place, but anybody I talk to is saying the same thing, which is they're not happy about it, guys.
Mm-hmm. Can I talk about something of the business side about how he sold this before we get into the fans' reaction and stuff like that? Before we get too far from that, because the way Gary sold this, I think, is the complete antithesis of how the smart business people are selling television rights right now. Because last year in 2024, the NFL had 72 of the top 100 broadcasts on television in America. 72 of the top 100 were NFL games.
By what? Ratings?
By ratings.
Wow.
But in terms of most watched, the top 100 most watched programs last year, 72 were NFL games.
Wow.
So
in Canada or in the States?
In the United States of America.
Got it.
So the NFL kind of knows what they're doing from the TV perspective. Yeah. Nobody watches anything more than NFL games. And the way they're doing their rights right now is we are going to break this thing up as much as possible to maximize the amount of money we can get. The NFL this coming season, next season, will be on Netflix, Amazon, CBS, ESPN, NBC, and then ABC is also ESPN.
Did you say YouTube as well?
And YouTube TV has Red Zone rights and all of that. So YouTube as well.
So it's like 7.
That's about 7 or 8 different places. And then if you count North America, then TSN has the rights in North America. Plus, if you want to count NFL Network, we're getting into the double digits of places that can purchase NFL, that can broadcast NFL games, because the NFL decided to maximize the amount of money they can get from all of these networks, and everybody wants NFL, so you sell it to everybody, and everybody's paying a top dollar for it. And for years now, we've been thinking that Gary was going to do the same with the NHL rights, because we thought Amazon was going to come into this thing and be a big player and want a piece of hockey. And TSN's going to want to get back into hockey because they've missed it for this last 12 years. They haven't had hockey, and they've done a great job broadcasting regional games, but they don't have any national stuff. And then we get to this exclusive negotiating window that they talked about there. It started on January 1st, and they extended it. And Gary decided to not talk to anybody else. I assume through the tentacles of the business world and his relationships, he had an idea of what these other networks would have paid for it, but he never talked to them.
No, he never officially negotiated
on a real capacity to get those numbers. And that's not the way anything works right now. The MLS is struggling with this Apple TV deal that we thought was going to be the next evolution in sports rights, where they sold everything to Apple. Apple has the whole thing, and now MLS wants to get some of that back because they're struggling to get people to sign up to Apple to watch it. And the NBA, they went with 3 different networks. They went to NBC, ESPN, and Amazon. So they're splitting it up in chunks because that's how they're maximizing the dollars. And the NHL in Canada is doing the complete opposite. And it feels like Gary did this because he got the guaranteed money that he could get, that he doubled the price that he wanted to do. And instead of doing the hard work and going out and doing a longer negotiation with everybody, he took the easy way and just signed back up with Rogers.
But, okay, so help me out with this. I've seen a lot of people say this is like a cartoonish amount of money, though.
Yes.
That Rogers paid. So maybe he was maybe he figured, okay, I could do all the legwork, or one person is offering me far too much money. Why don't I just take this right now?
I don't think that the Rogers deal would have eclipsed what he could have got if he gets a bidding war amongst all of the networks to break up the pieces. Because
agree with
that's
that.
how it's been done the last few years with all of these sports rights that have come up in terms of the NBA, the NFL, and MLS, as we've seen that fall out. And MLB is its own thing because it's such a regional sport, and ESPN blew up their own deal, so we can't really count them. But the NBA, they're negotiating rights. We've seen that it explodes because you had all of these networks bidding against each other. And the NFL especially is the one you want to look to about how these negotiations work. And you can really maximize your dollar if you have companies wanting to get something that you have the determination to determine where it goes, and not having them bid against each other seems like a spit in the face of the maximum dollar you can get for the owners.
But sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, Amazon is the free space in terms of like who else would have bid on it. Who else though?
TSN. Yeah.
Don't they have no bloody money?
Well, that's the problem, right? Is that so you've got Bell as a whole has a significant amount of debt. They seem to be able to manage it. They took the money that they got for selling their stake in MLSE and bought some regional cable in the United States so they can become, because their whole mantra now is they want to become a tech company. Don't ask me how that makes sense.
Okay.
It's not working out for them right now, but we'll see. I mean, you got to measure these things in years, not months. But TSN could still have made a play for one of the national.
That money doesn't exist. Like, if they wanted to come up with money, they could make money.
Money's real.
Money's just numbers. When you're $1 billion company, that money doesn't matter.
It's completely and utterly fake.
You can go anywhere and get money.
Yes.
Like, so I'm not concerned about like them not having current money. It matters in what kind of strategy they want to go with. It's like, hey, do we want to invest in this and then go into more debt and do all this stuff? But if they want to go into more debt, they can get a credit line. They can get this money if they want to.
Yeah, 100%.
So, and I think he did such a disservice by not splitting it up.
To give you an idea of
and it hurts fans,
of just debt leverage, Steve, like there's a company called Clear Channel, which is now called iHeartMedia in the States. They bought up a bunch of radio stations in the early 2000s and 2010s. And it's been disastrous for them because they bought up radio stations just as the digital world was happening. So they paid top dollar for them, and then all of their assets shrunk. But they leveraged themselves 10 times their own value to do it. So if they were worth $100 million, they would have leveraged themselves $1 billion. And like, just to give you the math on that. And so with Bell and their debt to asset ratio, they're worth, depending on the day, between 30 and 32 billion. Their debts are in the neighborhood of 40 billion, but that is relative to a company that size and their income completely easily managed by the company and by the lenders themselves. And so
I want everyone to remember this conversation when you're filing your taxes.
Well,
and you're stressed about owing like $1,500.
Yeah. Well,
what the?
Yeah.
Like,
so that, but that's how
there are two worlds.
Well, it's like if you make $100,000 a year and you have a house that's worth $1 million. Or you have a house that's worth $750,000 or something like that. I just said house is worth $1 million because every house is worth $1 million these days. It doesn't matter how shitty it is. Do you know what I'm saying? Like most people are leveraged well beyond what they make in their own personal finances when you account for the asset that they buy, which is their house, right? So there's business terms that are different, but essentially you're looking at it sort of the same. And TSN probably would have made a play. They would have been the lowest bidder. Mm-hmm. Amazon can pay whatever they decide that they want to pay.
Yeah.
And Rogers, the major thing I think for them is control of this. They want to own this. And I think, there are a few things that don't make sense, and then there are a few things, there's one big thing that does. So I'm going to give you all of the stuff that doesn't make sense, and then I'm going to give you the one thing that does.
Okay.
So the NHL, as I said, number one, from what we've heard, not been thrilled with the coverage or quality, right?
Yep.
You're talking, like they were talking in the press conference today, as though ice level cameras and cable suspended cameras that move with the puck are some sort of new thing. The NFL has been doing those for 20 years.
Oh, that part of the press conference was disgraceful.
Well,
is it an innovation, or is it something that's existed for over a decade and you just chose not to do?
And they did it before, right? They just cut back on that.
That's not an innovation.
So Rogers already has to, like I said, struggle to fulfill the deal. Potential tariff war. Ad market is soft. So all of these things don't make sense. And as I said, it's not like these agencies are going to pay double. They'll just find elsewhere to spend.
But Rogers has so much of their own shit to sell.
100%. But where this makes a ton of sense for Rogers is the asset value of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. Mm-hmm. By paying this much for hockey rights, they have just taken the Toronto Maple Leaf brand and pumped it worth probably another 20% in value. And when you expect the Toronto Maple Leafs, if they were to go to open market right now, would be in the neighborhood of $6 to $6.5 billion. Now push it to 7. Now push it to 7.5. I think that where this makes sense for Rogers, people are like, well, how do you make money direct off this deal? They don't make money direct in a profit-loss ratio. They make it an asset value. And it also boosts the value of the money that they've spent to buy stadium rights, right? So when you buy like Rogers Arena, Rogers Place, Rogers Centers in Toronto, but you know what I'm talking about. All of these deals now look so much better because, hey, we bought them when the NHL was only worth this, and now it's worth this. And so
it also makes like total sense for the other parts of the Rogers business. Like Rogers Xfinity is the thing they're pushing right now. Their fast internet, whatever thing. And like having, say, Game 7 of the Leafs, the third round, they're up against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Run a Rogers Xfinity commercial in there. Like they own the ads to run that on that programming. Like it is theirs for the future, whatever big programming, whatever they want to advertise in terms of the other parts of the Rogers brand, they own Hockey in Canada to do that. So it makes sense from that perspective too, which isn't like money directly in, but it's you own the platform, you can control that, and then you get money in the business the other ways.
Yes, exactly.
And so instead of giving that money to a competitor, you're giving it to the NHL.
Exactly. Well, yeah, kind of. Well, you're giving it to yourself too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, you're not allowing...
Who better to give it to?
Exactly. You're not allowing Bell to advertise Bell 5 on this Leafs game because you own all the Leafs games. You're putting your own product there, and that's something you don't really quantify in real dollars, but that's insanely valuable to a company like Rogers.
Yes. Yeah. And like, so when Rogers buys advertising space from itself, it doesn't buy it at a discounted rate. So sometimes let's use Walmart as an example, and they're going to do a big buy at Sportsnet, but they're also going to buy City TV and the green branded news stations across the country. So 660 News, 680 News, News 1150, like whatever it is, we're going to buy all that. When we buy in a bundle, we expect a 20 to 25% discount or more, right? But when Rogers buys from itself, it's going to pay full price and then write off the difference. So when you see a Rogers commercial, it'll be like, well, that cost us X amount of marketing dollars because that's what it costs to buy it.
It's an expense.
So it props up their value proposition to outside people. It also gives you a great way to write off some money for taxes and keep the money in the business, in the asset.
Yeah. So I understand why Rogers did it. I don't understand. Well, I guess I understand why Gary, who's retiring in about a year and a half-ish, when the CBA is all done, he'll probably do like a year-long retirement too after that.
It'll be like Marc-Andre Fleury, but less fun.
Yeah, no, it'll be the opposite of Marc-Andre Fleury. It'll be awful. I think he did it because it's the easy thing to do, and he's going out and retiring, and why do the giant long legwork to get the best deal possible when you can just take this, go into the CBA negotiations with a hard number. You have everything on the table now. You know all the facts of the economic realities of the league moving forward, and then you go from there. Like for him, it makes sense because it's easy. I just wish that somebody else was in charge who was willing to do the hard things and do a long negotiation to get the maximum dollar. That's the best thing for fans.
And I think, Jesse...
There were 4 people at that press conference, none of them will be there to see the end of this.
No, I don't think. I don't know if any of them will be there in 5 years. Right? It's just the nature of the business. I think
The last Rogers deal, they were all gone within like what, 2?
Yeah, but Gary and Bill were there.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Here's the other thing. Jesse nailed something, and I want to highlight it. It's the NHL, NHLPA, CBA talks that, according to Pierre LeBrun this morning, resume this week. Now, they've already been ongoing, and what's been interesting about these CBA talks is that they've been extremely tight, as in there have been 0 leaks. If there have been disagreements, we don't really know what they would be. And all we're hearing from both sides publicly is, yeah, we're pretty much on the same page here. And so what this does for Gary and for the owners is it provides cost certainty from a company that you know can pay the bill.
It's easier to do business that way.
You know that also that company is a stakeholder in the NHL. They own one of the most valuable properties, if not the most valuable property in the NHL at current moment. So you know that they're going to make good on this deal. The owners love this. And for Gary, it provides him the closure of that last loophole that will play into the CBA negotiations, because that nebulous thing of what will the Canadian rights be now no longer exists. And so when he goes into negotiations with the NHLPA, it allows him about the steadiest ground he could possibly be on for this. And his last piece, the ribbon on his career, is going to be this negotiation and just getting it done. Because it isn't about, at this point, fighting the players for an extra couple of percentage of HRR, although I sure hope they don't yield any. It is about really kind of ironing out some of the things from the previous agreement. I really don't, and that's from the one that they signed in 2020. I don't know.
Which was just an extension of the previous one.
Yes, but there were some changes in it about like rev share and all that, slight things. But long story short,
you're recording with Alan after this.
There were no major changes. And so I think this is Gary going, I want to get this done. And then I want to go on my retirement tour next year, and then I'm going to be finished. I'll walk away.
Because Gary, I think all people have a little bit of an ego, and to a lot of people, Gary Bettman's legacy will be a lack of hockey. It'll be games not played. Right now we're celebrating,
or games played in a market that was unsustainable,
or that. Like right now we're about to celebrate Ovechkin breaking Wayne Gretzky's record, and one thing you can't help but look at is like Ovechkin would have broken this like a year ago. Had it not been for lockouts. Obviously, Bettman didn't invent COVID, but Ovechkin missed the entire first year of his career. He missed half a season
in his prime
in 2012. I think, business aside, he wants this feather in his cap to say, I set us up for the future.
Yeah.
I think there was 3 main things that he's trying to solve in the last year or so, just so he can retire. I think this Canadian rights deal is one of the main things. The Olympic participation in the World Cup schedule. I think that was a big thing that Gary was trying to solve. It's let's get the World Cup, then the Olympic participation, then the World Cup and the All-Star game, and that consistent rotation. He wants that into the CBA. And then the last thing would be actually finalizing the CBA. And I think that's kind of what he's aiming for. And then he can ride off into the sunset and give Bill Daly the keys.
Now, he gets a lot of tomatoes thrown in his direction, but he's not dumb. And one of the things that we've heard about next year's All-Star game, which is on the island, is that all of the planes for the NHL players going to the Olympics leave from New York. So people are like, well, who the hell would go to that All-Star game if you've got the Olympics, the next day? And Gary's like, well, we're going to put the All-Star game in New York, and we control where the NHL flies and who they fly over with. So we'll make you go to the All-Star game and then fly over to the Olympics to make sure our stars are there, which I think is
Kucherov's like, I'll meet you there.
Yeah. Some of them can afford private planes, but but it is, I think it's very interesting. As you know, we were in San Jose last week, and the luggage that we used, this is important, was Monos.
Yeah.
Look how cool we look with our Monos.
For anybody listening,
so cool.
There's a picture of us at Pearson Airport with all of our Monos luggage.
Well-designed product should simply speak for itself. It only sources the best materials and components that have direct relationships with the factory partners to ensure high standards of quality. Because at the airport, they're not real gentle with your luggage, so you need it to stand up.
They elbow drop your luggage like Macho Man Randy Savage.
But it's also, I found, super light. And actually, they use aerospace grade materials for their luggage, and the interiors are draped with RPET. It's a fabric made from recycled polyester that is durable, water resistant, antimicrobial, and luxuriously soft to the touch. I can't even say to the word. It's so luxurious.
It's carpet without the C.
Yeah, it's actually it's awesome. So we want you to try Monos luggage and love it as much as we do. If you're traveling somewhere this year, or you're just having to go to somebody's cottage or whatever, bring a bunch of clothes with you, Monos luggage is for you. 15% off too. We can give you 15% off with your online purchase. The code is Dangle. Go to monos.com or ca.monos.com. That's the Canadian site. And use Dangle, DANGLE, for 15% off your luggage. And trust us, we used it. It was great.
I enjoyed it very much. The wheels, very smooth wheels.
From the one of the things that I was thinking about on the way in was the fan reaction to this, which was really not great. And I don't know if Rogers is paying much attention to that, but a couple of things are pretty clear here. And I've said this for years on this show. Sportsnet is great talent. They have great producers, but they don't seem to have vision from a managerial perspective. And I'm talking about, how do we push boundaries? How do we make this coverage, if people are going to pay more for it, how do we make it better for them? Mm-hmm. And that, I think, has always been their downfall. Now, you'll get comments in the comment section today. Well, I like this person and I don't like this person and whatever. And listen, we all have our people that we kind of relate to and people that we don't. And that varies from person to person. I don't think these people are like bad people. But I think when you combine a lack of vision with fanatical cost cutting, which is Rogers as a whole, their whole thing is finding redundancies, cost cut as much as possible. You kind of get what you have now. Hockey Night in Canada, I think we can all agree, has its moments, but is not what it used to be. And I think there are a few things, specifically making it non-boring, that we could do. And I think it's not, again, I don't put that on the talent. I put that on we're Sportsnet and this is the way that our brand operates. I think that they're a bit stuffy for today's environment. They got to loosen up a little bit. And so here's what I think they could do to instantly make fans happy. And you guys tell me what you think.
Okay.
Where they go, okay, I'm not happy. I don't expect that fans are ever going to be happy about the price they have to pay. Ask somebody if they like how much money they're paying for gas, even without the carbon tax now. I don't think they're going to be like, yeah, I'm thrilled.
Yeah, awesome.
So that aside, because the costs aren't going down, the first thing you can do is eliminate blackouts. Yeah. Regional blackouts are stupid. Last night I had trouble watching the Florida-Montreal game.
Let me watch the game.
Let me just watch the freaking game, right? Especially, I understand regional blackouts at the beginning of a season, right? But as playoff races heat up, I feel like they should be eliminated because you should be able to watch out-of-market games to see how that affects your team. That builds excitement and interest in the sport.
This is a great time of year to like surf around the different ice that the NHL has. Like you could...
What could you call a program that might do that?
Maybe generic hockey Twitter show.
You wouldn't call it... I would have thought like ice surfing, like this,
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, no, let's go with that.
So that's the first thing. That's such an easy one. They said they can convert as many as 10 regional games for the Canucks, Oilers, Flames, and Leafs, but they can't convert TSN games from regional to not. So if TSN has a game, it's never going to be national. If Sportsnet has a game, it could be upgraded to national, which the NFL does, right? The NFL has the ability to do that. I've been in Pittsburgh when they've changed the game time. So like when the Steelers were good, like really good, when I was there, the game was supposed to start in the afternoon and they moved it to the evening.
NBC can flex a game that's like an important game into their night schedule for like an 8:30 start.
Yeah.
Changed it that day.
That day. So
no,
I remember,
not that day.
Oh, it was like the day before.
It'd be a couple of days before. It'd be like that week.
Yeah. And we were like, okay, well, I guess we're leaving late. So
jeez. Yeah, because you can't just be like, oh, players show up at a different time. Our bad.
Yeah.
I guess you can.
So then I think so that's the first one. So I think we all agree on that, right? It's pretty simple. Second thing, move to a good streaming service. The Sportsnet Now carrier. And what I mean by that is the video player. I think everybody can agree, especially when it's an important game like the playoffs, it crashes, it's bad, it sucks. It's just bad. and if you've ever had to use it during an important game and you've seen it crash over and over again, people will be like, well, just get cable. Okay, you just get cable. I if I'm paying $250, $350 for a streaming package per year, I should be able to watch it.
One of the most damaging things to our evolution in media as a society has been all the cable providers owning all of the digital innovation. What incentive has there been for the last 10, 15 years for Rogers or Bell or any of these other companies to truly knock it out of the park as a streaming service? There's none.
Well, yeah, there's no real need to, right? If there's no competition, then why push the boundaries?
They want it. There's no competition, and they want to keep you on cable. They want the cable company wants to keep you on cable. It's hard to even blame them, but they own the digital platform as well. You're doomed.
So I know that they don't. So they own the rights. But from what I understand behind the scenes, they didn't develop that platform. They bought into that platform and they buy that platform from a company.
Yeah.
And
Right.
whatever.
Yeah, not every thing they make in house.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if
So-
they wanted, they could just pour money into it and make it good. And there's been zero incentive for that.
But that'd be like us paying somebody to develop an app, Like it's kind of similar. Yeah.
100%. I think they need to improve that.
Sure. The cable is still the best way right now to watch sports.
On purpose,
I have
Jesse.
cable, and you get the 4K broadcast on your cable box. And the way the world is going right now, where all of these stupid companies are splitting up all of their stuff on digital, when you get the cable package, it's all there. And then your cable box comes with an app where you can watch it on your phone. So you get the best of both worlds, and I think they purposely do that because they want you to keep getting cable. And as somebody who works in sports, I don't have an excuse to not have the best service to watch sports. So I'm on cable still, an old, and it's the best thing.
Yeah.
And the best way to watch sports. I've never used the Sportsnet app because I have the television now.
They're never going to deliver it to you in anything other than 720, right?
Yeah, I don't know how you guys don't watch 4K.
Well, I have the Rogers Xfinity app now. But what's hilarious about it is Rogers and Bell are in some sort of fight right now. So even though my family pays for the full app, I can't access any CTV channels and any global channels. I can get specialty, I can get TSN, but they a couple of months ago just pulled all of the Bell stuff. And I don't know if that came from Rogers' side or from Bell's side, but I think they're doing it on both sides where it's on the streaming wise, we're not going to even provide it anymore.
All right, you get on the phone and complain to someone about that.
Well, so we did.
Enjoy the next 3 hours.
The CRTC rules govern that if you are a cable provider, on cable, you have to provide all the channels. You have to make them all accessible. But as soon as you take that off of cable, you don't have to anymore.
Oh, interesting.
The CRTC, in its wisdom, which it has zero,
the game
has not in the last 20 years gone, you know what? We should apply this to the internet too.
Not to be nihilist about all this, or defeatist, I guess. The game is completely, utterly rigged.
Well, it always has been. It's just
I know, but
it was. I would argue it was more rigged 20 years ago when they owned everything.
Yeah, they used to try to be subtle about it. Now they're just it's rigged.
It was probably more rigged when there was 4 channels.
It probably
Exactly.
was.
That's exactly what I'm. Yeah. Now
Now at least we got the internet and pirating.
So the two things.
Now at least we have theft.
Now we can steal.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Now
okay, so that's
are
two
things
things.
in a good place when we're well, you could always steal.
Hey, people used to steal cable too.
Yeah.
I know.
My family growing up, we stole cable for half a decade
Yeah,
or something.
it's not hard.
We got it was one of those IPT boxes or whatever it was, and we just had an illegal cable.
we
thing.
all had a neighbor with a funny clothesline. Above their house.
we had the
What's that about?
we had the illegal cable box for a long while, and then we had the illegal dish. My my dad, and it probably still is, but he doesn't use it anymore. He's got other methods to steal cable. He was really into the illegal dishes. So like, I don't know, every few years, every couple summers or whether, he'd go up on the side of the house and install his own dish, and then we get the illegal box that's hacked or whatever, and we'd steal the satellite feed.
Deep dish thief stuff.
I remember
I feel like I can say that now.
Oh yeah, I remember friends who had like MTV, but it would be like a green color, like MTV before it came to Canada. You know, it was like a green color, and sometimes the screen would be like, woo, you know what I mean?
I'm Carson.
Yeah, 100%. So you have these are the two things so far: eliminate the blackouts, especially around playoff race time. Move to a good like streaming service that belongs in this decade. Okay. Number 3, I think your pregame and intermission content needs improvement, and I don't mean it in the sense that the talent and the producers aren't good.
No, say your lie.
But there seems to be
Call them good people.
They are good people, and I think they're good talent. I don't have an issue. My issue is there seems to be very little market research into what people want. How many times do we see Hockey Night in Canada start, and people go, "What the fuck are they even talking about?" And it's not, again, it's not meant to be an insult. It's meant to be like guys. Like we get market research from the fact that we have a comment section, from the fact that we have DMs. We know what you want to hear. With Hockey Night in Canada,
our market research is reliably informed, like positive feedback. Like now, because of the comment section, I know I've gained weight. So, it's good. It's good that we have.
It's good of them to tell you that.
It's good of them. I didn't know that.
What sometimes it comes across as is the announcers seem to. I don't know whether it's their choice or it's someone behind the scenes pushing this. It's we're gonna tell you what you're gonna hear, rather than here's what you want to hear and we're going to deliver it to you.
It's way too inside baseball.
You have to remember, okay, this didn't used to be the case. The reason Hockey Night in Canada used to really stand out is because it was the premier sports broadcast in Canada and there was very little competition. Like the NFL was not fully really that available in Canada for a long, long time. The NBA until the Raptors came, and then it was only Raptors games and the Raptors were bad. Like if you are watching a sports broadcast now as a fan, not only do you get intermission segments that do well on Twitter from the States coming up here, you can watch that. You're comparing and you're contrasting the NHL to the NFL and the NBA broadcast generally. When you see the NBA broadcast, what do? When you see the NFL broadcast, what do? They sell the game. They get you excited for the game. They're not like, here's a morality question. Here's a history of Canada question. It's, guys, you worked hard all week. You waited all day for this. You put your kids to bed on time. You folded your damn laundry. You're sitting on a couch now. This is your time, and guess what we're going to do? We're going to bring you the lights. We're going to bring you the fireworks, and we're going to bring you the game that you've been thinking about all day long. And we do not get that right now. We just don't. And I don't know how many people will watch this and get super pissed at me, people that work in media, whatever, but I have to tell you how it is. It's not meant to be personal. This is legitimate criticism that comes from not just me, all sectors. Anybody that's watched this will tell you, hey, listen, I just want to have fun, man. Can we have some fun here?
Can I take my best shot? So I used to work there. I worked there for 9 years. And I got to see a lot behind the scenes, and I got to work with a lot of people. Great people who are good people.
They are good people, and they work freaking hard.
They do work really, really hard. And obviously, you know, I don't do a good job hiding my feelings. Like there's some hurt feelings there with how things went at Rogers. But when it comes to everyone who I worked with, all of them incredible. All of them did good work, and I got along with all of them. Here's my like sort of insider's look at the operations there. This press conference to me was a complete waste of time. Because talking about innovation, there's no reason. It's baseless. No reason whatsoever to believe them. In fact, their commitment or lack of commitment to innovation, and talking about the status quo, I actually admire a little bit because it's them being honest with the audience. What happened in 2014-15? And who remembers the puck wall?
I don't remember.
Utter silence.
Yeah.
The puck wall was this big thing. Do you remember the puck wall?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you should explain to the audience because
Why would we remember that?
I assume
have
people
to.
don't.
This is the thing. No, but I'm going to. And it's not the audience's fault. It's Rogers, beginning, middle, end. They had the puck wall. It had it was all these pucks in a wall, and you used it to talk about different teams or whatever. And it was digital, and it brings up blah, blah, blah. I don't even remember. It lasted one season. They hated it, and the thing collected dust in the studio for literally years. It might even still be there. I don't know. Well, actually, no, the studio's not there anymore.
Yeah, it's not.
They changed the studio. So I think it might have just stayed there from the first season of the deal until when Rogers literally moved buildings, collecting dust. So there was that. There was George Stroumboulopoulos. A lot of people really didn't like George. And
Well, because it was supposed to be James Duthie, and James Duthie re-signed a huge deal with TSN to stay because they didn't want him to leave.
I think I have complicated feelings about all that. I think a lot of people were determined to not give him a chance. And, when he maybe fell below expectations, it was self-fulfilling prophecy or whatever. What I would have done there is had Ron for another couple years and then eased George into
That's
it.
what they should have
But
done.
they hammered you right over the head with, here's George. And I think he was set up to fail from the beginning. And I think it was probably not great to throw him to the Wolves for 2 years and then abandon it and stick with the status quo. And this is nothing against Ron, but you made a decision, stand on the decision, and they didn't do it. They hired all these people, and there were crazy layoffs after the, I think it was the 15-16 season.
No, it was a little bit later. They had
which one? Like there have been so many waves, right? The different camera angles were all these things. Like when they bring them back, they're not new. They were mothballed. They're stuff that they tried and abandoned immediately. Ice surfing. I will, from the top of my lungs with all of my chest, insist that was a great damn idea. It was on the wrong platform. Should have never been on Twitter, but Twitter paid for it. And who's going to say no to a check? If it was on YouTube, I think they'd still be doing it. Tried it for a season or maybe
I think it was 2.
I worked on it. I don't even
And the
remember.
pandemic, I think, knocked it off, right? Like it was sort of.
We were never even formally told it was done.
Yeah,
was-
you never got to go collect your things.
I never got to. Some of it's still there. Yeah. Like I kept waiting to be told, like, oh yeah, the show's not done. I might have got it eventually. I don't remember, but it was a great idea. Once again, they tried it. They tried a lot of things, and I think there was resistance internally from some of the, not to play this card, older people in charge. There was resistance. They relented and go ahead, try it. And then they're like, see, it's bad. And they get rid of it immediately. The streams, the watch-alongs that we did, when I left, I was like, oh, okay, well, can't wait to see what they do with that. They didn't do anything with it. Oh, okay, well, I wonder who's going to do this. They didn't replace me, like, in the least, which definitely makes you feel wanted, or it makes you feel like your work meant something to the company, is when they don't even bother trying to replace you.
I think the ethos with that is they don't want to split their television viewers with people online.
Oh, great. Oh, so once again, it's cable intentionally working against and fighting against this digital push. You wonder why there's so little in the way of digital content coming out of Canada from the big broadcasters. It's because of that. They want it to die. They badly resent the digital world and want us all to be hooked to cable forever. So I guess there are so many people who have so many great ideas in that building. And every company is full of people who have great ideas and they pitch it to upper management and it gets shot down. I think the rate is higher in that building than it is in other places.
There's a lot of talent there.
Oh, I got a great idea. Shut up. I got a great idea. Shut up. What are you going to... I think when you started a new job, what is a person more likely to do? Pitch all their great ideas immediately and right away, or ease into the job? They're probably more likely to ease into the job. The turnover rate at that company is so insane. There's a lot of people. I spoke to people who are just waiting to get packaged or retire. People are just trying to keep their head down until they get full time. You need innovators, and I just didn't see from enough people in charge a willingness to allow innovation. It was just deep resentment for the modern world. And we're in a tough place in Canadian sports media if that's how it's going to be treated going forward.
Well, I'm going to get back to the original points here, but I and it's not because I'm saying you veered us off course, but I think it kind of all ties
that's my
in.
job.
Steve, give me your finger. Give me your finger.
Which one?
This one. I'm glad we held space for your opinion. I think that's very insightful from an insider perspective.
Yes.
And I just want to say that I'm happy we held space for it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. No, that was great.
I would think it was great.
I think that's such a unique perspective of somebody who worked there for a long time and then left the company, and then now you see it from the outside and what they're doing. And I think you represent a lot of people who don't understand why they're unhappy with it, but are unhappy with it.
And they know they are. They know they're unhappy.
Like they know they have that feeling, but you're providing perspective on why this is probably subpar to their expectations.
Well, and what did we have? During the intermission, and these are all people I love. You're not going to make me say a bad thing about any of them. Mm-hmm. We had headlines, and it was Ron McLean, CJ Elliott, and who else? There was one.
Well, Damian Cox originally was on it, but yikes.
All right.
Yeah.
So anyway,
just the worst.
Then CJ leaves, and they do 32 Thoughts, which great idea. I personally thought it was a great idea.
It was dry.
It was
drier.
I liked it.
But you were this second intermission is for news.
And I love that.
I am learning.
Love that.
News.
It's still that way.
But give me a sec. So first intermission used to be for Coach's Corner. They're still trying to figure out what to do with that intermission.
To the point, Steve.
Yeah.
Come on.
Isn't that what it used to be called?
It's called To the Point now.
Oh, is that actually?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were telling me to get to
No,
my
it's called
point.
To the Point.
I get paid to watch the games. I didn't know that.
Well, you're also streaming during them. I can understand why.
No, I don't stream during every game. I didn't know that.
Well, it's
only
just
Saturdays.
so
Yeah.
I don't expect you to know that.
That's okay.
Well, anyway, we had headlines. Then we had 32 Thoughts. That's great. Highlight, again, your digital stars. I know that's not exactly what Frege and Merrick were. They were TV and radio primarily, but they had 32 Thoughts, which is this titan in the sport. And they highlighted it. And now it's back to headlines, but it's one guy. Why is Elliot tasked with doing bloody everything?
Because they don't have anybody else.
And whose fault is that?
They don't employ other insiders, so they have to rely on the one guy to do everything.
And here's the thing. They don't want to.
Well,
and that costs more money.
As a viewer, right? Love Elliot. Undeniably getting less than I was a few years ago.
Yes.
Yeah. If
you keep cutting down on the number of people.
If you watch the trade deadline show and you compare TSN to Sportsnet, there's about 6 guys sitting on the TSN desk who all break trades.
They can't even fit them all at that desk.
They can't
it's too much.
They have to spread it over a couple of different desks, and because TSN pays for all of these insiders because they think that's valuable to have on their roster, and Sportsnet doesn't feel the same, and they think that Elliot can handle all of that by himself.
And that's a lot to put on Elliot.
And that's a lot.
And he does a great job. I think what it is that Yeah. By the way, I think CJ and Elliott had great chemistry when they were on it. Like I thought it was a really great back and
Elliott's
forth.
so good at what he does.
And so I've gone through these four points. So the elimination of blackouts. You need to have a streaming service that's always reliable and actually good.
No, you don't.
Need to improve your intermission content. You need to remember that you're being measured against NFL and NBA broadcasts. And yes, I know that there's more money in that. There is absolutely no reason. Chemistry is not something that it's not something that's easy to find and easy to repeat. But when you have it, as a manager, you must look at it and go, I better hang on to that. I better build that. And I haven't seen that. And I think that they need to, for my last point, loosen up. And I don't mean like, George tried to get on Hockey Night in Canada and not wear a tie. And that was a big thing internally. And, and finally they said, listen, wear the tie or you're not going to air. And so he wore the damn tie.
What are we doing?
No, I agree with that. There is a uniform. It's Hockey Night in Canada. Dress your best. I get that. The tie, the suit and tie and the tight neck doesn't need to apply to the content, though. You can have a good time in a suit and tie. Shaq and Charles Barkley do it all the time. Mm-hmm. They all wear ties. They're looking good. They're looking sharp. What we need is to remember that you're working in hockey and that you're working on TV in hockey, and that rocks. You should be in there every day and creating the vibe for the audience, which the audience will then pick up, that this is the best job that you could possibly have. And it's just right now, I feel like they're so concerned about brand guidelines that they are smothering any of that. You see it with Bieksa. He's funny. You see it with Colby Armstrong. Funny, like guys that... But when I watch a TSN panel, those guys, it's like, we're going to have a good time. And, we're going to make fun of Jeff O'Neill and whatever. I was watching... Montreal last night, they had a desk in Toronto with Carlo and Kara Dyken on it. Laura Dyken, excuse me. And then they had Brian Mudryk and Frank Corrado in Montreal, and they're having fun with each other. Like, breathe. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that has to be something, again, that management does. Management has to make you on the air, and I've been on the air long enough to know that when management is down your neck, you tighten up. Let them breathe. Let them make a couple of mistakes and figure out where the boundaries are. These are people that are really smart. I want to see, you know what I want to see more of? I want to see more of Kelly Rudy's personality. We know that guy should be probably the most beloved personality in the sport. And it's criminal. It's criminal that you don't get more of him.
He's never asked me to kill someone. I would do it. I'd do it for him. He's
just the best guy.
I've told the Kelly Rudy story.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And
I love it.
there's this is what I'm saying is there's so much potential there. So if they are going to carry these rights forward, man, try to enjoy it a little. Mm-hmm. And that's I guess those are my things. And so, like it or not, you and I are going to be about 50 when these rights expire. Which is crazy.
Could have done without that.
Yeah, we'll be 50 years old because we're going to be 38 when they kick in.
You said it again.
Yeah,
I would like you to stop. I'd like you to not do that anymore. I do.
So if that is what it's going to be, I hope that's what they move to going forward. I don't expect Rogers to spend a bunch of money on production, but there are other things you can tweak that will make the average fan much, much happier and more willing to pay. Right?
Make it easy.
Make it easy.
Make it easy. Make it fun.
So anything else to add, gentlemen? Anything else to add?
I mean, I want to keep an open mind to everything improving. Mm-hmm. Like I think I've offered a lot of defeatist things and pessimistic attitudes towards this. I'd like to leave the door open that it could be really good.
Mm-hmm. And they do have great talent digitally there, like guys like Tom Stewart and
I love
Tom's hilarious.
Anytime I'm flipping through and his shit comes up, I'm like, well, stopping what I'm doing.
Yeah,
it's Tom time.
There are great things going on. It's just let's get to them.
Everyone there has great ideas. I think management needs to listen to them.
Oh, Canada, like the song.
Whoa.
You
can get
who's it by?
Canada.
Various artists.
Smoky Maple Bacon Egg McMuffin. How's that sound?
Sounds like put it in my face.
Sounds like delicious. There's also the smoky maple sausage and egg McGriddles and the smoky maple chicken breakfast sandwich from McDonald's, made with real Canadian maple syrup, and available now for a limited time. Whether you're on your way to work or getting off the night shift, or maybe just woke up craving something delicious, you got to give them a try. They are available till 11 a.m. every morning. And, guys, you can have it until mid-April. So April 14th is the last day.
Shoot.
So you got to make sure you get them now.
I love that it gives you a little sweet taste in your usually savory meal.
A little bit of both.
Yeah,
Yep.
you have the egg and the bacon and the McMuffin and all that, and then you get this maple syrup in there, and you're like, "Ooh, is this breakfast dessert meal delicious?"
Exactly. So make sure that you try it. Available till April 14th. McDonald's Canada. They're delicious. It's the smoky maple bacon and egg, the smoky maple sausage, and the smoky maple chicken. Try it in-store or McDelivery right now. So let's move on to Montreal beating Florida in overtime last night. Although Montreal winning meant that Montreal and Columbus won, so it means that the Leafs do not clinch a playoff spot yet.
That's okay.
It does really help the Leafs because
they're not going to.
even they
That's not something to be concerned about, Leafs fans.
I'm not worried about it. But it does. Montreal did hold Florida to only 1 point. And so the Leafs and Florida play tonight. The Leafs get Florida on the second half of a back-to-back with travel. It was a great comeback win for the Canadians. Nick Suzuki scoring in overtime, 78th point, career high. Lane Hutson's been unbelievable. It was a great game. It really was a great game.
Yep.
Weird to see Brad Marchand in a Florida jersey. We're going to see it tonight.
Hate it.
As I said, Leafs get Florida on the second half of a back-to-back with travel. Does this mean it's a scheduled loss for the Leafs?
It's impossible to look at hockey games like a normal person when you cheer for the Leafs. Yeah, the Leafs have every fathomable advantage. They're at home. They've had several days off. Florida's traveling, second half of a back-to-back. Boy, how does Florida screw this up?
I don't think they do.
The carpet is laid for them. Yeah, like I have a hard time thinking they do either. What would make me feel a lot better is if the Leafs simply beat them. But it's a lot to ask.
Yeah.
It's a lot to ask, man. I really, you have every advantage, man. I tell you what, you get your ass kicked tonight, there's no point winning the division. What does home ice matter? What does home ice matter? If you can't win a game like this, what does home ice matter?
Well, they won that game in LA, and that gives me heart because that was a gutsy win.
That was on the road. See, you don't need it.
And they do well. The Leafs have been extremely good at home this year if you look at their splits.
Yes, they have been good. They have been good. Florida still doesn't have Ekblad, right? They're still shorthanded.
No Tkachuk.
Did Bobrovsky play last night, or was it Vanacek?
Vitek.
You suck! All right. Well, I guess we're getting Bob.
Montreal outshot them to hell, though. Vitek had a good game. They played a good game defensively. So
VTech. Sorry, all I hear is Joe Bowen's voice.
Oh, yeah.
when you
Yeah,
say that. You can win a VTech phone.
worth mentioning, by the way, that Lane Hutson is closing in on the most assists by a rookie defenseman record. He just passed Chris Chelios, who was second. And he did it with the Montreal Canadiens in 84-85 with 55 assists. Larry Murphy from 1980-81 holds the assist record with the Los Angeles Kings at 60. Lane Hutson has 57.
I would like to change my vote.
Now,
May I change my vote?
there has been a smattering of, but he gets sheltered minutes, but who cares?
He's a
a
rookie
rookie.
defenseman. Of course he does.
He doesn't get sheltered minutes.
He gets a lot of ozone starts.
Yeah, those numbers are skewed. He's starting a lot in the offensive zone because he's a great offensive talent.
This is where...
That doesn't make sense.
And he can't play 60 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, like I don't understand that.
Quinn Hughes, Cale Makar, all those guys are I believe, top 20, top 15 in terms of being sheltered.
Yeah.
And I don't really think anyone says they're not good defensemen.
Now, for me, this Calder Trophy race ended over the last couple days because on Sunday, the Florida Panthers lose to the Montreal Canadiens, who got really something going here, really good.
They do.
In that game, 3 points by Lane Hutson. Last night, once again, 3 points by Lane Hudson. Doing that, those back-to-back 3-point games kind of cemented everything he's kind of been doing all season. And where he's going in terms of points in a season by a rookie defenseman, where he's top 10 all time by the end of this thing. Let's see how far he can get up the list. And then the assists, obviously breaking records. He's also entering historic company on a team that's going to make the playoffs. So you have, in comparison, Wolf, Celebrini, and Michkov, who are all on teams who are not going to make the playoffs, and he's ahead of those guys, the two forwards, in terms of points. And then Dustin Wolf has not had a good last 7 games. I believe one time in his last 7 games, he's only had a save percentage over 900, or one time in those last 7 games. In the crucial part of this season where you need the guys to perform the most, Lane Hudson is stepping up and being one of the best performers on his team. He had an assist on the goal that happened with 8.4 seconds left from Nick Suzuki to send the game into overtime, to then get the 2 points in the 3-on-3, where he also had an assist that wasn't a big assist. He touched the puck at some point. Yeah. It wasn't a crazy assist, but he got the assist there in the big moments. And when you compare that to the other guys, it's not fair. It's not a fair competition. The Wolf, like I said, is failing in the biggest moments, and then Michkov and Celebrini aren't playing on competitive teams. So Lane Hudson wins the Calder.
When we were talking about Wolf, getting Hart votes and winning the Calder, it looked like he was single-handedly dragging the Flames to the playoffs. They were 32nd, 30th, 31st, whatever, in everything.
And still are.
And that's why they're not winning. A lot happens in a week or two. Lane's game has stepped up. It was always close to me between Wolf and Lane. You so rarely get a rookie goalie this good, and you so rarely get a rookie defenseman this good, as evidenced by, we're talking about Chris Chelios. I've been beating this drum for a long time. This is a really, really good Calder race. Like the fact that one of Celebrini and Michkov aren't even going to make it. Aren't even going to get
won't be
nominated.
top 3. Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah, there's a reason that Lane Hudson winning it this year means a lot. It's because the competition is at a higher level than it's been in years I can't remember. Usually we get a 2-horse race, or sometimes 3, but it's usually one guy who just runs away with it, and we know it. But this year, it matters between these 4 guys because all 4 are having spectacular seasons. Yep. And that's why Montreal Canadiens fans are hyped about this Calder race.
One of the guys,
the hockey world is too.
One of those 4 guys, probably one of Celebrini or Michkov, isn't going to get nominated, and they're going to have an unbelievable career, and we're going to look back at the end of their career and go, and they didn't even get nominated for rookie. Why?
But you had to have been there.
What idiots voted? Yeah, you had to be there.
Yeah.
Go look who was 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Oh, shit.
That's why we're currently living in a you have to be here moment.
Yeah,
That's such a great point. We're going to look back on this season and be like, you remember that year? Holy shit. All 4 of them just going head to head. And at different points in this season, I think they all kind of held the crown. Because Michkov very early, when Celebrini was out and we didn't know what Lane Hudson was and Dustin Wolf didn't have the team in the playoff spot, he was definitely called a front runner. And then we saw Celebrini hit the ice, and we're like, is that a 5-year veteran just out there with the Sharks?
Crazy player.
He was crazy. He looked so complete, and everyone was like, give him the Calder. And then Wolf had the team in the playoff spot, and it's like, now it's Wolves,
and they can't score, and
then they can't score a single goal. Wolves has them in this, and then now that the season is almost complete, we see the full picture of this guy is on a historic pace like no rookie defenseman has ever been. He gets the Calder, and for me, it's done.
And Mark Dumont actually said it's the Leafs that are responsible for Lane Hudson being a Hab.
Awesome.
The Leafs sent Renat Valiev to Montreal for Thomas Plekanec, which turned into Brett Kulak, which turned into Lane Hudson. So that's a great trade tree, because I said, hey, thanks, Montreal Canadiens. And he said, really, the Habs should be thanking the Leafs.
That's what you get talking shit.
I was happy. I was happy that they did it. I was thrilled. Thank you, Montreal.
Shame on every team in the NHL, including the Leafs, who drafted Fraser Minten, for allowing Lane Hudson to drop to 2nd round in the draft that year. He went 62nd overall. That's a crime against humanity.
But
they all committed it, so then it's okay.
I guess.
I'm just looking at the NHL scoring leaders, Cutter Gauthier, who I think people have talked a fair amount of smack about,
has been great.
15 goals, 23 assists for 38 points. He's 4th
Yo, that Philly trade
In
is
rookie
looking
scoring.
worse and worse and worse. They tried to spin the shit out of that. I told you guys, garbage trade at the time, even worse now.
Will Smith.
Garbage.
Will Smith.
Embarrassing.
I think you're being-
No, it's Keith Jones and Danny Briere for that moment should be, I'm sure they're good people. Embarrassing.
How dare you.
Embarrassing how they went at him in the media. Kid's a freaking teenager. Come on.
Will Smith, 13 goals, 24 assists, 37 points, top 5. He's not even the top rookie scorer on his team. Like, this is a really... Logan Stankhoven.
Oh yeah, he's still
considered a rookie.
Yeah,
Not fair.
He's 6th. Like, oh, man. It's a really... Oh, number 11, Jay Blake. That was weird to see
Me?
him up. Yeah, Jay Blake.
no, that's Carolina's
Jackson Blake. Oh!
the son of Jason, right?
Oh, I was like, what are you doing here?
That's his kid, right?
I believe
Yes,
so, yes.
it is.
And I learned that
Carolina.
during a game recently. This year, this group
I think
is crazy.
NHL fans should be so happy because the future is really bright with the next set of stars that the league has. It's something you've been trumpeting for a long time, we're in a golden era of kids who are going to be the next superstars, and we shouldn't be worried about creating the next Crosby or Ovechkin or any of that because we have so many kids right now that are going to be superstars.
How many times this season have we talked about Zach Bulldog or Maxim Siplikov or Marco Kaspar? Like, all those guys have 30 or more points, which is 30 is kind of like, I don't know, it's a milestone for rookies. A lot of them don't get there.
And we don't even talk about guys who are still relatively new and are amongst the next generation, but are kind of already superstars, like Quinn Hughes, like Jack Hughes, like the Hughes brothers, just keep naming them.
McNair, both Kachucks.
I was going to say Brady. Matthews kind of
Brady
in the middle.
more
it's
than
more
Matthews.
Brady. And even like a guy like Jesper Bratt, who's having an unbelievable season, super underrated. The kid's, 22?
Yeah.
Like, he is growing into a superstar in his own, and it's so under the
26.
radar.
He's 26.
Oh, 26. Oh, my bad. He's growing into the superstar in his own at this point in his career. And he's going so under the radar because there's so many other guys in this league. It's stacked league. Yeah. And I think we can afford to have a couple more teams.
Fuck it.
We shouldn't be worried about
Stop it.
expansion.
That's what you took from this?
There are so many good guys.
The dumbest take in all mankind history is where will we find the players? Shut up. Are
There's
you
so many
kidding
good
me?
players.
Oh my God.
Alex
And
Steve should
everybody
be on
acts
an
like
NHL
William
roster.
Karlsson didn't go from a nothing player in Columbus to a 40-goal scorer in Vegas. And what changed? Ice time. For God's sakes.
And
people are good.
Marchessault and
Oh my God.
Shea
They've
Theodore
been paid
was
to
a
get rid of
cast-off.
Marchessault.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
outrageous.
Oh my God.
Outrageous.
We can do-
Riley Smith, same team.
we can do this.
We
all
can do
day.
36.
We can do 40 eventually.
I don't know.
Now, Maple Leafs projected lineup versus Florida: Nyes, Matthews, Marner, McMahon, Tavares, Nylander, Lawton, Domi, Yarncroke, Holmberg, Kampf, Lorenz. Looks like basically everything is the same. Nick Robertson sits for the third straight game, which means that he's going to score like a hat trick when he actually does come back. Pacioretty probably not activated, I don't think, till the first game of the playoffs because of cap issues. Hockenpah is on the ice.
Matty's ears perked up.
Hockenpah is on the ice. Woo. Maddie's favorite Leaf of all time. He's played 2 games. Now,
I'm telling you, he's playing.
I want to just quickly talk
telling
about
you.
what this lineup gives you, because if this is the lineup going into this game, I think it's pretty fair to say that's the ideal now lineup going into the playoffs, with the exception of probably Max Pacioretty subbing in probably on the 4th line.
And Hockenpah.
And Hockenpah.
You know what? I think they do want to play Hockenpah over Benoit, especially the way
100%.
Benny's game's been lately. It's been a bit sloppy. When you look at this lineup, I said it last episode, and I want to say it again. I know people are like, well, we acquired Lawton to be a center. Lawton can win draws. Domi can win draws, whatever. I like Lawton and Yarncroke with Domi because now I'm not worried about that line being a defensive liability, and it allows Domi to be more of what he is.
Well, and it actually helps Domi on faceoffs as well, because I feel like we said this earlier this season. One thing Domi hasn't had is another center on his line consistently. And, well, I've also argued he shouldn't be one. But now he has 2. Lawton is a center. Yarncroke was a center for a very long time. Both guys very capable in the faceoff dot. Both. There's a lot of guys who are... You know who's also listed as a center? Is Lorenz.
Yep.
I believe. He's played some of that. Holmberg. Nearly every player in the lineup has played a little bit of center.
Yep. And I think that is something that Mike Babcock used to talk about, was like, we need more. When he talked about more depth, he meant more options at center. Because remember, this is something that happened in the playoffs. Mike Babcock was so against the centers that they had that Zach Hyman, on a bad knee, like a knee that he needed to have operated on, was taking face-offs in the defensive zone on a short-handed play against Patrice Bergeron.
Oh, the Leafs traded Per Lindholm. Per Lindholm? Par? They called him Per.
To Winnipeg, right?
And he cried and shit his pants about that.
Who, Babcock did?
Oh, he was so mad. He was so damn mad. Centers, man. That guy.
That's a bad visual.
That guy, he cried and shit his pants.
Well, and I think his punishment for doing that was, okay, now I'm putting Hyman at center, which was not fair to Hyman.
Oh, yeah, I am not fixing this. I'm going to put Nick Patan in every position to fail on purpose. And then Marc-Andre Fleury robbed Patan, and Babcock got fired.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yep. Yeah. That might be the greatest, Marc-Andre Fleury's greatest career achievement, I would say.
Oh, 100%.
That, robbing that and getting Mike Babcock.
God, he cost the Leafs a lot of money.
He sure did.
Yep.
He sure did.
Par Lindholm won a championship last season in the Swedish Hockey League.
Good for him.
With who?
I don't know how to pronounce this team name. Steve?
Let me put it. Skellefteå, I think, or is it Skellefteå? I think Skellefteå. I think it's Skellefteå.
Yeah, Shell is Skell, right?
I think so.
Shell.
I don't know.
No idea, but there's a little trophy logo next to that season. So
Career goals as a Leaf. 1. Uno.
61 games that season, 18-19. And then,
That's so many games.
Yeah, but Jesse, his plus minus was good.
No.
Oh, yeah. No, +5. Let's go.
All right. Let's move on. Alexander Ovechkin is at 8-9-1, which makes him one hat trick away from tying Gretzky, and one hat trick plus one away from beating Gretzky.
Yeah, thank you for saying correctly.
And tonight, while I stream the Panthers-Leafs game,
Yes.
we are going to have an Ovechkin sort of watch happening. We can always switch if we need to, if he's going for the hat trick or something like that, because I think the tying goal with Gretzky is going to be important. I think the passing Gretzky is going to be important. I also want to say, programming note, Friday, I'm going to be streaming the Capitals game.
Oh!
Because we got to make sure that we're watching for Ovi.
Yep.
And then Sunday, if the chase is not over, Jesse will be doing the Capitals matinee game.
Islanders.
Yeah, so
12:30 p.m.
We are following along.
Be hanging out on YouTube with you.
Yeah, on the tubes.
On the tubes.
So we're very excited for that, and we'll see what happens. I believe he missed an empty netter last night, which is hilarious.
Probably on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to make it hard.
Yeah.
He saw our podcast and he's like, I don't want to get benched on the road.
That just
So-
They should. They should 100. I still stand by that wholeheartedly.
Bench Ovi on the road.
You
so
should
he
do
scores
this
at home.
at home. See, I don't understand why you guys aren't for the fans. I am for the fans of the Washington Capitals. I think they deserve to watch this moment in the home of Ted Leonsis.
Listen, I'm not saying that I'm thrilled about the prospect of Ovi doing it in Tom Dundon's house tonight, because he could.
I think it would be a real shame if he did it on an island and not in Washington.
Well,
the home of Ted Leonsis.
Maybe Friday. Maybe we got a couple goals tonight and a couple goals Friday, and boom, Bob is your uncle.
Bench him Sunday. If he gets close between...
Bench him Sunday, then you don't do the stream.
Yeah, so whatever.
And then it's what, Carolina next week on Thursday?
Not about me, Adam. It's about the fans. So he plays today, Wednesday. Carolina scores like 2, and then he's 2 away then, right?
Yep.
Scores 1 against the Blackhawks on Friday.
No, he's at home Friday.
Yeah, so I only want 1 though. So he scores 1, then you because then I don't get my benching. Then you bench him Sunday
and play him
so
against
that
Carolina.
he does it against Carolina next Thursday or the 13th against Columbus.
You're more than welcome to boo Jesse at this point.
No, he's got to do it at home.
Okay,
He's got to do it at home.
Jesse, enough. Here's what's going to happen. Put it back up. Let me help you. He's going to score 2 goals tonight against the Hurricanes.
Sure.
He's going to score 2 goals on Friday against the
so it's
Blackhawks.
tied now.
Yeah.
And then you bench him.
No, he'd be
sorry.
passing.
Sorry. He's going to score 1
I
goal.
thought he's 4 back.
1 goal.
He is. So 2 and 2
4
he
back
passed.
of winning.
4 back of being ahead of 3 to tie.
Got it.
894 is the number.
Got it.
He's going to score 1 goal tonight against the Hurricanes. He's going to score 2 goals on Friday against the Blackhawks.
So they're tied.
He's going to come real close to a hat trick.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to get it.
Bench him.
Doesn't get it Sunday,
Doesn't score a goal Sunday.
but there's a 3-day break before the Hurricanes game.
Right.
And we're going to hype it up. And it's going to happen. It's happening Thursday. Here's a highlight pack of all the goals he's ever scored. And it's not going to happen.
Oh, so then you bench him Saturday.
Matinee game in
But then
Columbus.
he plays Saturday and he doesn't
You
score.
bench him.
Oh, no.
And he plays Sunday and he doesn't score.
Oh.
And he plays the second last game of the season
Against the Islanders.
and he doesn't score.
Oh, but wait. What's
and
the
then
last game of the season?
final game of the season,
Yeah.
Alexander Ovechkin in Pittsburgh wins it in the house that Mario built.
I hope Penguins fans boo.
Oh, they should.
Like it would be a sign of respect, I think. at this point,
Out
right?
of respect for the tradition of the Caps
You
Pens
must boo this man.
rivalry, you
I
must
think
boo.
if they cheer for Ovechkin breaking the record, I think you move him to Hamilton. That's enough.
All right, Jim Balsillie.
Yeah. Hey. They made the sitcom about me.
I believe Ovechkin has scored the most goals of his career against the Maple Leafs. Like of every team, I believe the Maple Leafs are number one.
Maybe
I don't
per
believe that's
game.
true at all.
You don't think so? Okay.
Yeah,
It's definitely not.
In
it's
terms
per
of
game?
total goals, and no, definitely not. Maybe per game, that's true. But total, no.
Okay, I'm looking
It's
at against each team.
Yeah.
You're right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, this is crazy. What? No. He scored 57 goals against the Jets?
Oh, the Thrashers.
Yes.
Oh, that's how they're counting it at StatMuse. Okay, so it's first, number 1, it's Jets at 57. Number 2, it's Flyers at 52. Number 3, Hurricanes, 51. Number 4, Lightning, 51. Number 5, Rangers at 46. And then the Panthers and Leafs are tied for 6th with 45. Wow.
Good Lord.
That's nuts.
What an animal.
Yeah, just crazy.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So anyway, I want to hit on a couple other things here too before we go to press conference or wrap it up or whatever the heck we're doing. Rick Tocchet and the Vancouver Canucks. This is a story I've been watching with great interest. I've been watching your career with great interest, because there's a lot of questions about, hey, Rick, how about that extension? And he's like, no, we'll do it at the appropriate time. I'm just focused on the next game. Which to me is always coded language for, I'm not sure. And I'm not saying that he wants out of Vancouver, but I'm not saying he wants to stay either. Because if he did, he's in line for a huge raise. His salary is apparently about $2.75 million, which if you're one of the NHL's top coaches, and if you look at his, the season he's coming off last year, he was.
Very good season.
And he should probably, maybe he's not going to be John Cooper highly paid, but he might be a $5 million coach. And it's interesting because Thomas Drance wrote about it today, and he said it's clear Tocchet doesn't want his contractual situation to be a story while his club fights for its playoff life. The Canucks would prefer to work out an extension because they can exercise a team option. They have a team option on him this summer. They said it would be a major storyline once the season concludes and a serious conversation and negotiation for both parties involved. Now, I was talking to somebody today. I'm like, okay, so if Rick Tocchet says, I want to be the coach of Philadelphia, which we kind of talked about last week, right? I want to go to Philly. I played 1,000 games there or whatever. I want to go to Philly and be the coach there. The Canucks could simply say, well, you're not going. We'll exercise a team option. And I said, so what is it, like, why do the Canucks even want to worry about an extension right now? They just exercise the team option. And the person reminded me of something. He could just resign. And then the Canucks are paying him for the season to not coach for them. So if the Canucks exercise the team option, he can just say, yeah, I resign. And
What's the point of the option?
exactly.
Wait, why do you get your check if you resign?
Because there is, I believe if you want to keep him out of working in a different competitive situation, you have to pay him.
Well, what if you just if he
Because coaches' contracts are guaranteed. Now, I think it would be probably where the Canucks would be like, okay, well, if what's clear here is the Canucks want to retain him. What's not clear is what Rick Tocchet wants to do. if he doesn't want to stay, he has the option to resign. But the Canucks, at a competitive advantage, could pay him to keep him off. Now, they could allow him to go and seek new opportunities, but then why exercise the team option in the first place? Do you see what I'm saying here?
Yes.
Not really.
What don't you see? He's allowed to just say, like, unlike a player, players can, they could cancel their contracts, but most of them don't do that.
The team option's worthless.
Yeah, what I'm saying is the team option gives them next to no control, except for it would keep him out of the NHL next season if they were willing to pay the 2.75 or whatever they owe him.
Oh, okay.
So, this is where, because Canucks fans are sort of like, what's he going to do here? Yesterday we found out, that Philip Hedl probably doesn't play for the rest of the season.
Yep.
There are real doubts about where this team is going. Now, got a lot of money to spend this offseason, attractive market, great players. They could probably bring in some good free agents.
Attractive market to who?
It's a great place to live.
Yeah.
If you're rich.
Yeah, well, but why does every NHL player who has the opportunity put all of Canada, not just Vancouver, on their no trade?
I think taxes are part of it. Media pressures are another.
Well, so every place is a good place to live if you're rich, and you can be richer somewhere else.
Sure.
You and I, mere peasants, are like, Vancouver? Awesome. That sounds great. And these guys are all like, let's sign in the same 4 places NHL players sign.
Right. Well, it's a storyline. I think it's worth watching because it's not just, oh, well, they got the team option, so that's that. It's not actually that way. He can resign. And now I doubt that would be messy, but the Canucks have been messy in the past. Like, there are certain teams that are just not messy.
I don't see it happen.
The Canucks are messy.
Yeah, I don't see it happen.
Yeah, I don't understand why this would happen.
Well, I think there are 2 reasons. Number one, if he doesn't want to be there and the Canucks want to keep him, this would be their power move. There are holes in it.
Why would they want to keep somebody who doesn't want to be there?
Well, I think
if somebody doesn't want to coach your hockey team, I don't think you'd go out of your way to keep them there.
I agree with that, Jesse, but they seem to be doing that. Like, look at what Kyle. Remember when Kyle Dubas was like, in Toronto? It was sort of like, I got to think about this or whatever. Mm-hmm. I know Tocchet is coaching and whatever, and he's talking about the fact that he just wants to focus on wins or whatever. If Rick Tocchet was 100, be honest with yourself. I know Canucks fans are not going to like this, but you're a guy or a gal and you're making $2.75 million and you know that you're in for a raise of probably double wherever you go. Okay. And the Canucks are going, we're willing to do that. Right. And there hasn't been any sort of story about the Canucks aren't willing to pay. They are willing to pay. They've said it publicly. We want him here. So, but your coach is going, we'll talk about it at the appropriate time. What's the appropriate time? Because if it were me being a pleb, I'd be like, hey, man, that sounds like a great extension. Let's go. Unless I was not sure about the future.
So
I think it's worth asking the question.
Do you think this is going to come down to a personnel thing? Like, this is going to come down to, either we make some significant improvements here or I'm out?
I don't know. That's the fun part about this story is I don't know. I would imagine he's probably like, after the season we've had, Pettersson's clearly got some sort of injury. He's not playing up to his standard. Philip Hedl has always had the injury thing follow him around. Mm-hmm. What's the future here?
Hey, whose team had a pretty good weekend? We got to watch them up close. The Abbotsford Canucks. They played 2 games against the San Jose Barracuda, kicked the Barracuda's ass both.
So you thinking Manny Malhotra?
I've already seen his name a couple times. Manny Malhotra, new coach of the Vancouver Canucks?
Question mark?
Could be.
Okay, just interesting. The other thing I want to hit before we wrap is the St. Louis Blues have won 10 straight games.
Let us never speak on goalies ever again.
What do you mean?
Well, that's enough. Jordan Binnington just deciding to be Dominic Hasek is very funny.
I mean, they've now jumped ahead of the Minnesota Wild too.
Poor Hayden. I mean, we saw this coming a mile away.
Yep. It's possible not probable, possible, that the St. Louis Blues could maybe, possibly catch the next team in their division, which would be the Colorado Avalanche. Now, there's a 5-point spread there.
It's getting tight.
And the Avs are 6-2-2, but the Blues are 10-0-0.
So let's...
Do we make that the race in the Western Conference? Can the Blues catch the Avs?
Out of a possible 20 points, the Avalanche only dropped 6.
Mm-hmm.
And the Blues made up 6 points.
Yes. But
That's insane.
now,
That's insane.
if you're the Blues, Jesse and Steve, I want to ask you. You're going to play, very likely, now, you're not playing the Jets, you're playing the Golden Knights. And the Golden Knights in the playoffs are not fun. You almost would prefer, I would think, playing the Jets based on their recent history in the playoffs.
Listen, I think the Jets are an unbelievable team. They play the Blues, they're in big trouble. They're in big trouble.
So then, what do you do? Take your foot off the gas? Like, then, if you were somehow able to pass the Avs, you're playing the Stars.
No, the West is brutal. You know what? I'm sick of this. Because, listen, I know you don't want to play a team that's won 10 straight games. But if I may make it about the Leafs for a second. Oh, well, you don't want to play this team, and you don't want to play this team, and you don't want to... Grow up! Grow a pair! Friggin' knock it off! There's good teams in the playoffs! What?
Yeah, but there's also great teams in the playoffs.
Now,
Jesse,
and you're going to have to beat them too.
Do you remember what Jesse had us all shocked a couple of years ago when he's like, the Vegas Golden Knights, they're mid at everything. They might have a chance. And we're like, Jesse. And then they go and they won the cup.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Every team's good. Like, if you're the St. Louis Blues, like, you don't care who you play. Every team's good. There's no good matchup in the West, especially.
So just stay hot.
Yeah, that's the whole
Play
goal.
your best hockey.
Exactly.
Like, I'm evaluating the Western Conference playoff picture purely by who is playing how right now.
Yeah.
Like, Oilers were my beginning of the season Stanley Cup prediction. I'm feeling kind of nervous about that right now. Mm-hmm. Out of all those teams, they're not playing the great.
There's 7 teams that are playing well in the West, and the Wild aren't. And I think all the other 7 teams are good. Then the Oilers, a little iffy right now, but they're still a good team. They still have McDavid and Draisaitl. Like, McDavid will be healthy for the playoffs, and we'll see about Stuart Skinner. I don't know how that's going to go, but who's currently out right now.
Even the Wild, like, supposedly, I thought I read Eriksson Ek and Kaprizov are both practicing.
There's something.
So all of a sudden you got a playoff team who's dropping, but they're a playoff team, and they're going to get back those two.
And they were on fire when those guys were in the lineup back in the fall. Like, when those guys were playing full tilt, like Kaprizov was a Hart Trophy candidate. So if they get those guys, then there's 8 good teams in the West. There's no bad teams. It's the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's Stanley Cup playoffs, baby. Win 4 out of 7 or eat shit. That's
All right.
the beginning, middle, end.
There's something you can put on a T-shirt.
Win
that
4
should be the
games
Rogers
or eat
promo,
shit.
actually, in 26-27. Win or eat shit.
Well,
it's Rogers.
That's why it's only on Prime. That's why every year, oh man, the Leafs were a goal away. Oh man, that's crazy. Win 4 games or fuck yourself. Like, no one cares. No one cares. You almost won.
Okay.
No one cares.
So with that, we will leave the show.
Yeah.
We'll do a press conference Friday. Okay.
Oh,
Friday.
No, sorry.
Yeah, Friday. So we're going to roll. But we hope that you have a great day. You have a great day. I pointed at the wrong camera. And also VIP Friday morning. Anything else? Nothing?
No.
All right. Usually you want to talk right to the end here.
Stay the same. Never change.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.